a little because I did some research, and 1.6 million Americans suffer from ulcerative colitis. It's not a rare condition. As you said, my son was diagnosed about 5 years ago with it, so I know the struggles. I know you've never used it as an excuse. You don't even bring it up unless somebody else brings it up. But what are some of the issues that you face as a bodybuilder diagnosed with ulcerative colitis that maybe some other pros don't have to deal with on a daily basis?
Honestly, it's prep in itself is a stressor. When you get deep into prep and the cardio gets high and the food gets low and the sleep becomes sporadic, and the training stays intense. These are just all stressors that we have to deal with as bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that my body just doesn't deal with that too well when it comes to ulcerative colitis. So I do get flare-ups where it's severe issues with my stomach. And to get a little bit not to be too graphic, but I will constantly have to go to the restroom. There is a constant need and urge to always go. And there are some not so pretty sights in the toilet bowl as far as like, bleeding and things like that. So it's not nice. I remember one flare up I had, I was just laying on the bathroom floor in pain, just praying for it to go away. So yeah, that is not nice, but we've gotten better at knowing what, triggers it, what foods work well with me, how to manage my stress. And I just know how to deal with stress a little bit better mentally. So I think that contributes to, helping out as well.
Yeah, I know diet is a huge thing, and obviously, as a pro bodybuilder, any high level bodybuilder eats all this food every day, 5, 6, 7 meals a day. What are some foods that you found with your colitis are just a bad idea, and what are some go-to foods that you eat on a very regular basis that are okay and that you tolerate well?
I mean, I stay away from a lot of like different vegetables. I don't eat many vegetables. The ones that work well for me are like cucumbers, zucchini, some spinach to a certain degree. So even I stay away from lettuce. I remember I ate lettuce one time and I had severe bloating and pain in my stomach, and I was just like, well, let's cross lettuce off the list of things I can have. So, but the things that worked out well for me, and I even noticed this is I say I have a very bougie stomach because I have to, try to eat things that are a little bit more on the organic side. So I do get my meat from a butcher, like my chicken and stuff like that.
Okay.
I get my fish from a fishery. I try to eat wild caught flounder as best, as much as I can. It's just these things that I find digest well for my stomach. Red meat is here and there, but I don't have it maybe more than one time a day. So yeah, those are the things that I found that works well for me is choosing my sources of protein very wisely. Carbohydrates I don't really have a big deal with because I mostly stick to rice-based products or potato.
Yeah.
Those are some things that I tend to stay with. But those or like oatmeal. And I have found that going gluten-free helps as well. I'm going gluten-free, so it's like my choice of, like oatmeal or something like that. Or
Yeah.
when it's in the off season, if I do have any options to switch out for bread or something like that, I'll go for like a gluten-free bread. So yeah, most of my choices are just being smart of like, okay, does that upset my stomach? Yeah, okay, let's cross off the list. So it's a big process of elimination.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't graphic at all because trust me, like I said, I see this close up with my son every day. And there are times when, like, I like to go to the gym with him sometimes when our schedules align. And there are times when he'll say, I got to go to the bathroom. And then he'll text me, say it's going to be a while. So, that's basically my cue to go do something else for a while because he's not coming out for, sometimes it'll be 15, 20 minutes. There's nothing he can do about it. When you have a flare up, it's just out of your control.
And you think that's inflammation, and one of the medications that they give you is mesalamine. That's an anti-inflammatory. So think about it. You're having inflammation, in your your intestines, and how does that affect your body? Like your gut is like your second brain, right? So you have these issues with your gut. Just that, like, it sounds funny, but like after a flare up, you are so exhausted, like you don't even want to do anything.
Yeah.
Your body is just physically spent. It's really crazy how you feel. I know like sometimes like when it happened, I'm just like I said, I was laying on the floor, like exhausted, tired, like, can this just stop? So yeah, we just found ways to get around it. And I don't know if we can touch on like the PED parts of it as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, and specifically, are there certain PEDs that someone with colitis or ulcerative colitis or Crohn's would be just very, very dumb to use because they're gonna have a terrible interaction?
Obviously, like just the orals, right? You know, like you do not want to, you got to be strategic with it. You know, very very strategic. If you try to, pound like orals early, or if you try to use them too much, I found that they can stress out my gut a little bit.
Mm.
So kind of just keep those things in the back pocket until they're absolutely necessary. And if there are any injectable versions, I try to lean towards those things. There are not many, but there are injectable versions of Winstrol, and there's injectable version of Anadrol.
Yeah,
There are injectable versions of Superdrol, things like that.
yeah.
So if I can find something that's injectable, I would rather go that route. Or if I do use an oral, I would rather use it for a short amount of time, and try not to stress my body out as much, because we already know, like, hey man, you take Anadrol, it's going to affect your appetite. My
Yeah.
appetite's already affected because I have this going on, so it'd be a double whammy if I did that. So just try to
Mhm.
keep them in the back pocket.